In the first scene of the movie, two thugs approach Danny Harvey, the owner and trainer of a boxing club in Ireland, asking for protection money. After hearing this, Danny, who is not in need of the thugs' protection services, rejects their demands and gets into a brawl with the two men. The thugs are swiftly vanquished by Danny thanks to his martial arts abilities. Danny, who is originally from London and operates a boxing club in Ireland, excitedly watches his favorite football team, West Ham United, that evening at home. Moving on to London, Joey Harvey, Danny's younger brother, is well known for being the head of Green Street, a group of supporters of West Ham United. Joey leads his gang in a brawl with opposition fans following the West Ham game. Unfortunately, a sharp weapon used by the opposition fans kills Joey during the chaos. Meanwhile, Danny is still asleep when he wakes up to a call from his mother, telling him that Joey has passed away and requesting that he come back to London right away. Danny is devastated by the death and hastily prepares to return to his homeland. As he travels, Danny, who is sad to lose Joey, remembers the good moments he had with his younger brother, particularly since Danny loved Joey, his only sibling. Danny hugs his mother and expresses regret for not being able to shield his younger brother when he first arrives at his family's London house. Danny tries not to cry as he makes a promise to track down the people who killed his brother and exact retribution during Joey's funeral the following morning. Victor, an old acquaintance, approaches Danny after the funeral to offer his sympathies for Joey's passing. Given that Victor is a police officer and will make the inquiry easier, he pledges to assist Danny in identifying the people who killed Joey. Gilly and Big John, two of Joey's mates, pay Danny a visit a little later. Danny declines their invitation to talk about Joey's passing since he is still in shock over his brother's untimely death. When Danny and Victor meet again, Victor tells Danny that Joey was the head of Green Street, the West Ham United fan club. Victor claims that after games, the members of this group frequently brawl with opposing fans. Victor said that because he was killed in a brawl between supporters, it will be hard for the authorities to discover Joey's killer. Danny must become a member of the Green Street group and take part in all of their events in order to identify the criminal. When Danny gets home that night, he is saddened to see his mother still clutching a picture of Joey. Upon viewing the picture of his deceased brother, Danny remembers a number of times spent with him and finally chooses to follow Victor's recommendation to join the Green Street organization. Danny finds Green Street's headquarters, a tavern, the following day. Many members of Green Street, notably Gilly and Big John, are taken aback by Danny's appearance when he first enters the bar. All of them fear that Danny will hold them responsible for Joey's passing. Danny responds that he won't hold his late brother's gang accountable. He plans to join them instead. Danny even asks them to join in a brawl with Tottenham fans during their match against West Ham United later that evening. Danny purposefully causes a commotion in the evening by hitting a Tottenham fan with a bottle after the West Ham vs Tottenham game is over. The cops arrest Danny as a result of the mayhem this conduct produces. As part of Victor's scheme, Danny is abruptly released by the police on the way to the police station. After that, Danny returns to the Green Street Tavern by himself. Everyone is still at the stadium when Danny gets there, so he only sees a waitress named Molly. Danny starts talking to Molly, and it seems like they are interested in each other. Gilly and the others believe the Tottenham fans will attack their headquarters when they get to the bar later. The Tottenham fans soon arrive and confront Danny's group, which sparks a fight. His martial arts prowess helps the Green Street supporters prevail in the altercation. After this win, Danny gains everyone's admiration, and they choose to replace Joey as the new leader. Molly accepts Danny's invitation to go on a date during the celebration. Victor tells Danny not to become too involved in the confrontations amongst the supporters after the party, but Danny argues that he must participate in these activities in order to identify Joey's killer quickly. Danny returns to his former boxing facility the following morning and starts up his rigorous training regimen. That evening, Gilly and others bring Danny to a location where opposing fans congregate for planned brawls with wagers. Danny finds out that the leaders of the fan group devised this arrangement in order to prevent police involvement. A fighting competition will be held and the winner will get a sizable prize. That evening, Danny witnesses a brawl between Millwall FC and Tottenham FC supporters, Green Street's long-standing rivals who killed Joey. The fight is won by Mason's Millwall supporters. "I'll be waiting for you at the next tournament," Mason replies to Danny. Danny responds that he has been anticipating a confrontation with the Millwall supporters, which includes identifying Joey's killer. Danny and Molly embark on their date and spend the night together after Danny returns from the event. Before their next battle, Danny starts training each member of Green Street separately the following morning. Since they will be fighting Newcastle fans in a few hours, Danny bans his members from drinking alcohol at their bar headquarters that evening and only permits them to have juice and water. At this point, Danny questions Gilly about if his brother's death was caused by Newcastle fans. Gilly clarifies that Joey's death occurred during a fight with Millwall fans, not Newcastle. Danny has time to meet Victor before leaving for the tournament, and he tells the policeman about the competition that is open to all English fans. Numerous well-known figures in English football are wagering on the competition in an attempt to increase their winnings. Danny adds that although he has named Mason as the alleged mastermind behind Joey's killing, he has not yet been able to exact his retribution because he does not have solid proof. After a little while, Danny and his team go to the basement to begin their first tournament matchup with the Newcastle team. At that moment, a lot of people are betting on the altercation between the Newcastle supporters and Green Street. The two supporting groups immediately start fighting, but sadly, Green Street loses their first tournament. Despite this, Danny appears unfazed by the loss and is resolved to face Gilly and the others again in the upcoming round. After returning from the underground battle, Danny, who is in a beaten state, finds time to visit Molly at her house. He brings her a bouquet of flowers, which makes her feel even more in love with him. The following day, Danny gets everyone on Green Street back to their physical training regimen, which includes boxing drills, gym visits, and jogging. Danny purposefully does this so that his team will prevail in the upcoming battle and eventually take on their long-standing adversaries, the Millwall supporters. The confrontations between the English supporters resume as night falls, with Green Street taking on the Coventry supporters. Green Street defeats Coventry because of the diligent training that all members have done in the past. Green Street defeats the Everton fans in the subsequent game as well. The following day, Danny and his team take on the Arsenal fans and win again. Following the battle, everyone from Green Street sings their victory shouts and throws a party at the bar to celebrate their win. On a different day, Danny and his team handily defeat the Swansea supporters as they play Green Street. Danny and the others watch the match between the Chelsea and Millwall supporters after this altercation. Danny feels more certain that Mason killed Joey because Mason seems to be acting quite viciously toward his opponents throughout this battle. Green Street faced off against the Manchester fans a few days later. Mason seems astonished as he observes Danny's outstanding performance during this battle. Danny and the members of Green Street battle for a while until winning, which guarantees them a place in the final round where they will take on the Millwall fans. When Molly unintentionally witnesses Danny conversing with Victor the following day, she becomes agitated and decides to head to the bar. Molly abruptly dismisses Danny from the bar when he gets there because she thinks he is a traitor who has given Victor, a police officer she knows, access to all of Green Street's information. Given that Victor is a friend from his youth, Danny adamantly denies ever selling any information to the authorities. Unfortunately, Danny leaves since Molly doesn't believe him. Mason approaches Danny after he leaves the bar and requests that he get into his vehicle. At first, Danny declines his longtime rival's invitation, but Mason claims to have information about Joey's killer. After hearing this, Danny eventually climbs into the car, where Mason displays a picture of Gilly at the crime site, cradling Joey's body. After learning this, Danny becomes furious and approaches Gilly, who is boxing and training. Danny attacks Gilly right away and demands to know why he killed Joey. Thankfully, Big John and their boxing coach intervene to stop Danny. Danny tries to speak with Gilly a little later, but he denies killing Joey and says the accusation is untrue. According to Gilly, Joey was overconfident during the event and believed he could overpower the Millwall supporters despite the fact that Green Street was outnumbered. Mason consequently mercilessly beat Joey to death. Gilly adds that Mason wanted to snap a picture of him holding Joey's body, so he made him grin. Gilly had threatened to expose the picture, which is why he didn't inform Danny sooner that Mason was the real murderer. Danny accepts Gilly's explanation and expresses regret for the earlier assault. Danny then turns to Victor, who was drinking in the park because he was upset about losing his job as a police officer, and tells him that he now has solid proof that Mason killed Joey. Later that evening, Danny approaches Victor for assistance in battling Mason and his gang. Victor, who is no longer a police officer, readily accepts the request. The contest between Millwall and Green Street supporters was seen by a large crowd that evening. Molly, who seemed to have made amends with Danny, also showed up at the location to support Danny in the impending brawl. Danny was prepared to take on Mason and the other Millwall fans with his mates. Mason attempted to lower Danny and Victor's spirits prior to the game, but this only made them more determined to beat Mason. When the fight began, Mason beat Danny so badly that he was almost helpless. Mason acknowledged that he was the one who had killed Joey and that he now planned to kill Danny in the same way that he had killed Joey after realizing that Danny was almost defeated. When Danny heard this, he had the courage to get back up. Furious, Danny attacked Mason in retaliation and severely beat him. When the police learned about the altercation between the football fans, they arrived shortly after. Eventually, they were all taken into custody, but thankfully, Danny and his companions were freed after it was established that they were innocent. Mason, meanwhile, was taken into custody and will face consequences for his offenses. 2 days after the altercation between Millwall and Green Street supporters, Danny and his friends were spotted enjoying their triumph at the bar at the end of the movie. After first pretending to join Green Street in order to look into Joey's death, Danny now felt at ease with the gang and made the decision to actually join the West Ham United fans. Danny also revealed that he would shortly marry Molly during the celebration.